Peace and love, everybody. I'm Royce Fletcher Thomason, back for another Sunday Hope and Healing session. We like to be able to offer some support, encouragement, hope, actual physical healing or healing of other different issues. And we've been doing that pretty much since just after the pandemic started. I think April 2020 is when we started doing this, and we've been essentially going live weekly ever since then. And our focal point for today is actually kind of a question. And that's what areas, I'm going to have to go back and correct that. It's supposed to say, what areas do you sometimes struggle in regarding your well being? What areas do you sometimes struggle with? Now, as far as your well-being is concerned, there are like several aspects of your well-being, your multidimensional being, and your well-being really encompasses the totality of your beingness, if you will. And so that can certainly impact your well-being. It's certainly related to I'm gonna have to clear my throat all day until I'm going live. But your well-being certainly includes your physical health, your body temple. It includes your mental faculties. It includes your state of emotional well-being. It includes your sense of spiritual alignment. It includes your sense of purpose. It includes your relationships with other people. It includes your financial uh, reality or your financial experience. Ultimately, really, your well-being is at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. Greetings, Curly Conscious King. Good to see you today, my brother. Hope that you're doing well and that you are in a state of well-being, and that if you're not now, that shall manifest itself uh, for you even during the time that we're together today. And so, at the end of the day, well-being is really ultimately about life. Really, is ultimately about the quality of our relationships. I'm gonna put that out there as kind of a blanket statement. In terms of your physical health, it's about your relationship with your body. In terms of your spiritual self, it's about your relationship with God. In terms of your financial well-being, it deals with your relationship with money. In terms of your love life, it deals with your relationship with some significant other. As far as your mental and emotional sense of well-being, that deals with your relationship with yourself, right? Musel, good to see you, brother. Peace and blessings your direction. um and so really at the end of the day, we've all got all of these different relationships going on with different aspects of ourselves, different things that we relate to in the world, right? And so some of it deals with our relationship with society as a whole, in terms of dealing with like the collective consciousness. All right. But all of these things really at the end of the day deal with relationships. And we started a new organization, the um, Integrative Recovery and Injury Specialists. It's a wellness organization that focuses on well-being, and recovery can come in many forms. It can come in terms of recovery from physical injury. It can come in the form of recovering from some type of surgical procedure and the trauma that the body experiences as a result of the surgery. It can come in the form of recovering from an addiction, whether that addiction is alcohol or nicotine or some other recreational drug, whether it's painkillers or whether that addiction is to pornography or to sex or to drama. Hello. Or to uh, being accepted by other people. That can manifest as its own addiction. Um, and so recovery can come in that form. It can come in terms of uh, being restored financially. If you've come to a place of experiencing a loss. A few years ago, there was a hurricane. End up having to start over completely from scratch as a result of that. And so it's been a process of recovery. And so the injury can come in various forms: physical, mental, emotional, psychological, relational, spiritually, and otherwise. And so can the recovery. And so we really want to support you in whatever area you feel like you might be still struggling. And I'd like to hear from you all, if you feel comfortable sharing, open to sharing. What are some areas of life that you might still struggle with? And you know, I I believe that there's value, honestly, in I believe that there's value in offering something before you ask for something. And I realize that even me asking that question may require you to feel like you might be putting yourself out there a little bit, or might be uh, putting yourself maybe in a bit of a vulnerable spot. So I'll start before I even ask you to put anything in the chat or in the comments. I'll start with it. So right here, right next to me, um, right next to me is this costume that I was wearing last weekend. My sister celebrated a milestone birthday. My younger sister celebrated a milestone birthday, and we had this surprise party, and it was costumes. My mom made a lot of these costumes. The theme was kind of Alice in Wonderland. And my character that I was dressed up as was the timekeeper from Alice Through the Looking Glass. I don't know if you've seen that movie. Uh, and people found it a bit whimsical that that would be the character that I was because of my relationship with time. I tend to move on the slow side. Uh, this broadcast ended up being started a few minutes late. Um, I have an interesting relationship with time. Um, and I'll share something I don't think I've shared this here before. Um, some people may see it as weird or way out there. It is what it is. I've been doing this healing work for a long time, for over 20 years now. And there was a point where I would realize, there would be times I would just be working with somebody. I might encounter somebody on the street or family member or something and do a healing. And a lot of times it would just happen really, really quickly, you know, um, sometimes in a matter of just seconds. But if I was actually, like, if somebody was like paying me to work with them as far as some healing was concerned, I would notice that it would take a longer period of time. And so I was doing some work on myself to reduce that amount of time. And while I was doing this treatment on myself, if you will, I heard a voice say, "You won't have that problem when you remember who you were before, because before you didn't have this concept of time." Still haven't quite mastered that thing, quite honestly. Um, and so I asked the question, okay, well, who was I before? And then I had this whole like really deep, profound experience. It was the way that I worded it at that time was like, felt like the mothership was downloading something into my being, come right in through the center of my head. Um, there's this poem by Nikki Giovanni called Ego Tripping. And she said, she made reference to, um, designing a pyramid so bad that light that only shines every 100 years falls into the center, giving divine perfect light. And that's what it felt like. It felt like I was in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid, and like that, this ray of light was like being sent in through the top of my head. Like this stuff was being downloaded into my beingness, and it took me a while to even be aware of where I was going to be when I opened my eyes. And when I opened my eyes, um, I just kind of sat there and reflected for a while, meditated upon the experience before my bladder got my attention. And so I walked down the hallway, went and used the restroom. On the way back down the hallway, I heard this word Arcturus. Didn't know what that was, wasn't familiar with it. Um, and I did notice the time, however, it was at 11:15, and this took place on October 15th. Uh, and this is in Michigan, it's daylight savings time, so the actual time was actually 10:15. So it's 10:15 on 10:15. I still don't know exactly what the significance of that is or was to this date. Um, but then that uncovered this whole thing dealing with stuff that I won't worry about getting into right now. Samraj, peace and blessings to you, my friend. I hope that you're doing well. Much love and much light to you as well, and God bless you also. Um, but anyway, for whatever reason, stuff related to time. I've got this birthday celebration to go to for my stepdad today, and I'm going to be late for it. Um, Yeah, I mean, I already know that to be the case. Not that I probably should be proclaiming that, but given when I'm going to get off of here and where it is that I need to go, I know that I'm going to be late for that. But also, I find that I piddle, and time seems to sometimes escape me in the process of that. That's an area that I still struggle with. Another area that I struggle with, that I've struggled with, um, is as it relates to my love life. I've been a romantic, I feel like, all my life. And uh, I definitely value love and relationships and marriage, yet I've been divorced twice. Um, that's a reality of my life experience. It's an area where I still could use some work. There's some things that are still in my blind spot that I could stand to work on. And I'm going to hear from you all. What are some areas where you might still struggle regarding your sense of well-being? Some areas where you feel like you can maybe use some support, use a boost. Maybe there's something that you just haven't quite figure it out quite yet, or some area where you may need some tweaking. It may be in terms of your life sense of life purpose, maybe in terms of your love life as well, maybe in terms of relationships with other people. Is it that you find yourself frequently in situations where people are responding to you in a way that results in you feeling frustrated and angry, and get you know irritated more than you maybe feel like you should, or you may even get feedback from other people about some areas where you can stand to grow, or where there's room for growth for you. Maybe it's regarding something of a financial nature. Is there a physical condition in your body that you've been working on, but maybe it still, for whatever reason, continues to persist? Or if not persists continually, maybe it'll go away for a little while, but then still seems to come back. Is there something as it relates to your mental health? Maybe grieving that you might feel maybe sometimes overwhelmed by, and that grieving could be in terms of in terms of a loved one passing. It could be in terms of the loss of a job. It could be in terms of the ending of a relationship. Um, Grieving really deals with anything that relates to something ending, and any type of sense of loss. Okay, maybe losing your home. One of the things that's been the case I've noticed lately is everything seems to be going up in price. Food has been skyrocketing. Gas is rather high. Um, Interest rates. Usually, I have a degree in finance. We learned that there's an inverse relationship between price and interest rates. In other words, when interest rates go up, prices go down. Supposedly, and when prices go up, interest rates go down. Um, I hope I said that right. Anyway, when one goes up, the other goes down. That's usually how it is. Doesn't seem to really be the case right now. I just realized the other day there's a one of my credit cards has an interest rate now of 30.15%. 30.15%. I remember when it wasn't legal to charge 25% or more. And it isn't even a card that I've had that long. I think it was 2021 where I got this card, and then I looked at a few different statements. It's been going up like a percentage point every month for several months in a row. What is up with that? And so, like, it makes it difficult for people. There's a gentleman, uh, I don't think he'd mind me saying your name. His name, Kenneth Webb. Perhaps you can lift him in prayer. Every time I see this man, he's on the street. Uh, he's asking for some support. But he's an older gentleman, doesn't walk so great. Um, he's he seems to definitely seems to have a good spirit about himself. He's always dressed up in a suit. Um, but he's struggling. He was sharing with me that he had a good job before COVID. He ended up losing, with COVID, he ended up losing that job. As a result of that, also lost his vehicle and his four-bedroom home. And now he's homeless. He's struggling to be able to generate funds to be able to pay to live, I think, $90 a day in some hotel room. You know how expensive $90 a day is to be living in some rundown little hotel or motel that doesn't even have a kitchen in it. And then you gotta, because you can't really buy groceries, you gotta get $90 a day times 30 days. That's almost 3 grand a month to live in a little hotel room. You can have a pretty nice house for 3 grand a month, but it's just struggling to get by. So many people, and he by no means is the exception to that. So many people are struggling financially or dealing with loss. Is that the thing that's difficult for you? Maybe it's a situation that isn't even directly concerning you. Maybe a situation with somebody that you love and care about that is weighing on you. Your thoughts about what's going on with them may be weighing on you. What is it that, if you feel comfortable sharing, I would love to. I'd love to hear what kind of things you might be dealing with, or kind of things you might find to be a bit of a struggle. That helps, me to determine the content that I'm going to put out, and also, if you're open to it, we'll provide some support live during this broadcast. And that's actually how this broadcast actually started out. Started out doing live healing. People would come and receive healing. And there would be times where people would be actually on screen, and we do the healing live. And so I'm actually pondering whether we're going to continue this format or not, because that's kind of the whole purpose. It isn't just for me to be talking. Um, Although I do believe there can possibly be some value in that people might be able to receive and benefit from. But also, I know that there's another way, a way that's beyond having to suffer and struggle all the time. And that's not to say that I don't still have things that I struggle with, because I do. And the fact of the matter is, I could probably have to struggle less if I uh, just did what needed to be done in terms of doing the healing on myself. Uh, but we're all a work in progress. We're all a work in progress, um, and we all have areas where we still struggle with some things. We all have some areas. We might have. We might feel like life in general is just going really, really well. Um, that might feel like we got a good job or business is going well. Uh, we're doing well financially. The people in our lives, for the most part, are healthy and in good shape, making uh, good decisions in life, and are well adjusted. Um, but there might be, this or that particular area that might still be kind of like that thorn in the side, or it may be an area where you're wanting to take things to the next level. It might not be that there is an issue that's actually present, but there may be that you've reached a certain point, and have maybe kind of plateaued there, and may want to go to the next level of your growth, and development and sense of fulfillment. So if any of that is the case, let a brother know. Again, we're more than happy to offer support. Otherwise, like, why are we here? There's certainly other things I can be doing than sitting in front of a computer looking at a green dot while it's sunny outside with blue skies, in Tampa, Florida, especially since it's a warm day today. But anyway, I'm not here just to hear myself talk. I'm here to offer support if the support is something that's needed, or if the support is something that's desired or welcomed. Certainly not here to impose it upon you, but I do want you to know that you deserve that which will help put you over the top. You deserve release from pain that you might be feeling, and that pain might manifest physically in your body. You might feel a physical pain, or a backache, or something maybe from a knee injury, or arthritis, or menstrual cramps, or whatever the case might be. We've dealt with all of that, and helped people to get relief from it. Or it could be, the pain from what happened with this young man in Memphis the other day, right? It could be the pain from things that are happening in society. It could be the pain of seeing people's inhumanity towards other human beings, or it could be pain um, related to a loved one that you maybe don't have the option of speaking to anymore, or that maybe the relationship with them isn't what you'd like it to be, or maybe the pain of feeling stuck in what you might consider a dead end job and not really living in your purpose. Whatever form that might come in, feel free to let us know. Um, but I tell you what, I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink. I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink. I'm here to offer this, but I'm not here to impose it. So if it's something that you're interested in, um, please put it out there, whether included in the chat, or uh, you can send me a direct message at Royce Fletcher Thomason, either on Facebook or on Instagram, or Transcending the Matrix on Instagram. That works too. Any of those approaches work. And also, you might be a person who's possibly on a spiritual journey of your own. I can certainly appreciate that. Um, this spiritual journey is something that's never ending. We don't ever actually just like completely get there. it's a process that's unfolding. It's a process, and we're evolving, we're growing, we're developing in the process, as we're endeavoring to reach that sustainable state of supreme satisfaction. And there are things that we want in our lives, things that are temporary, quite frankly. And we want these different things: a relationship, a home, a job, uh, the newest shiny object that catches your eye, whatever that might be. All those things that we want them because we get this sense, or we have the idea that we'll be somehow happier if we have them, that will contribute to our happiness if we have them. But all of those things, while they may be of value, they're not things that are necessarily going to give us that sustainable satisfaction. Certainly not uh, supreme satisfaction, which I maintain is rooted ultimately in God. And as far as this work that is transcending the matrix is concerned, what it really is, I started out as a person who was focused on helping to heal, support people in their healing who were dealing with pain and sickness and dis-ease. And yeah, we've seen a lot of that happen. Been blessed to support a lot of people to become free of pain, to see tumors removed, to overcome a lot of different obstacles in life. Even seeing them get a home, all kinds of different things. Had people who reached out to me that were in the process of getting their affairs in order, that they were dying. Shoot, this was at least 15 years, more than 15 years ago. One of them just reached out to me the other day, just earlier this week, um, and are doing very well. You know, and so that was a big part of my focus for a while. But now my focus has been shifted some, and I see this work as being something that's, to me, I find very compelling. Um, hey, Danny Stillwell, good to see you. Uh, much love your direction. Um, the reality is that we're all on this journey, and what the journey is really about is us uncovering the truth of who it is that we are, who it is that we really are at our core foundation, living that out and being able to see that in everybody else as well. Because when we really know who we really are, when we really come to know ourselves as pure love and divine light, we see that in ourselves so clearly. The matrix of illusion is stripped from our eyes, from our perspective, from our vision, and then we see beyond the illusion, beyond the maya, the word is in Sanskrit, which means that things are not as they seem. We see beyond the veil, and we see the truth of things, and we then begin to see everybody else as pure love and divine light too, beyond whatever issues they might be presenting. And that, for me, is what transcending the matrix is really all about. Is about the transmutation of the soul of the person who's doing the work, to be able to strip the illusion from our eyes, and to see beyond whatever stuff is that is eschewing our vision. Lord Jesus said that the eye is the lamp of the body. And if your eye is single, your whole body will be filled with light. If your eye is whole, if you're seeing things as they actually are, as you're seeing beyond this matrix of illusion of third dimensional beliefs of separation and limitation that is rooted in fear or false evidence appearing real. If you're able to see beyond the false evidence that appears real and see the truth beyond that, and see that no matter what the circumstance, no matter what the situation, the light and the love of God is present in each and every moment, circumstance, situation. That doesn't mean that God condones all these things that happen, but we can see beyond what things look like on the surface. We can see that what things look beyond just a little beneath the surface, and we can see it to the core, the real truth, the truest truth, right? And when we see that, we have the peace that passes all understanding. When we see that, we're able to experience a sense of beautiful and profound wonderment and awe of life in the process and not be bogged down by it in the process. When we see that, we're able to maintain the innocence of others. We're able to really, truly forgive. And guess what? Failing to forgive, I heard my brother Spencer Murray say it's like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's something that poisons us, these negative feelings and stuff that we hold on to. And acting like you don't have the feelings isn't the same thing as not actually having them. It ain't the same thing. Listen, I'm not telling you what I read in the book or what somebody else told me. I'm telling you what I know for myself. There have definitely been things that have come and bit me in the hind parts that I just didn't want to let myself feel because I didn't think it was spiritual to entertain these lower vibrational emotional states like anger and irritation and frustration and disappointment and sadness and pain and all of that. Guess what? We all have those things that come up until we don't anymore. And trying to pretend that we're above it doesn't make it that. Actually, it just, if you have something in the trash and you've got some food that's gone bad in your garbage, if you take it out quickly, you won't smell it as much. But if you let it sit there and fester for a long time, guess what? The stench is just going to increase. You might know something about that. I know that I know something about that. Hey, what's up, Faith? Good to see you in the space today. And so if you are dealing with something, what happens a lot of times is we don't deal with stuff, and so the stuff deals with us. The stuff deals with us. And we act like it's not there, we ignore it, and then what happens is that it shows up at inconvenient times. And we think that what we're experiencing in 2023 is because of what just happened in 2023. When in reality, it's what happened in 1992, 1998, 2007, whenever, right? It might have been some stuff that happened when you were a little kid. Yeah, shoot. I didn't deal with my parents' divorce when I was in middle school, so I had to deal with it as a middle-aged person. What's that all about, right? Um, I mean that's the reality, folks. And I know that if I've done that, I know that you've done it too. I know that you've done it too because it's part of the human condition. We a lot of times we take things and we stuff them away. We're doing it to try to protect ourselves or because we don't want to feel the gooky stuff or we don't want to look at the ugly stuff. The reality is it's going to sit there and it's going to fester and it's going to start to stink up the place until we take it out, until we get rid of it from the point of the root. Dr. Kafera, I was literally just thinking about you just a few moments ago while doing this broadcast. I thought, I haven't seen Dr. Kafira in a little while. I wonder how she's doing. So it's very good to see you today and good to have you in the space. And Peace and many blessings to you on today. And maybe you've been here other times and just didn't comment, but certainly a pleasure to have you here in the space today. So I put it out there earlier, and I want to put it out there again. If there's an area where you've still wrestled, an area maybe wrestled might not be the language that you might use. If there's an area that just continues to kind of hang around and maybe stand in the way of you experiencing life to the fullness that you would like to. Maybe it's relational, maybe it's financial, maybe it's physical, maybe it's emotional, you know, maybe it's as it relates to your work life. If you're having an area where you've maybe to a certain degree hit a wall, you can't seem to get past, or you've hit a ceiling and you know there's some more up there. There's higher for you. There's more up there that's for you, but just seem to be kind of stuck at a certain point. And maybe that point is a high point, but it's not your highest point possible. Uh, if you feel comfortable doing so, please include that in the chat. Please include that in the chat. And one thing that I want to say is I know I realize it can be difficult for a person to put themselves out there. My mind goes to the movie Marshall, starring the late Chadwick Boseman, where he was playing uh, Supreme Court Justice um, Thurgood Marshall. And there was a point where the person who was on trial, played by Sterling K. Brown, he had some things in his past that were tainted, but he was actually innocent as it related to this particular crime. Uh, Sorry for the spoiler if you've not seen the movie. um, but there was a point um, where Thurgood Marshall was talking with this other attorney, um, and he was saying, "We're going to have to bring out all of the questionable things. We're going to have to bring out ourselves in terms of his checkered past, in terms of his character flaws. We're going to have to bring those out before the prosecution gets an attempt to bring those things out." The reality of the matter, and there was a lot of profound truth in that. The reality of the matter is that the only way that somebody holding something over our heads, holding a threat over our heads, blackmailing us, the only way that it can work is if we're too ashamed to put it out there ourselves. If we're ashamed to put it out there ourselves, hey, Mel K, happy Sunday to you as well. The reality is, if we're willing to put the things out there ourselves, then we can't be embarrassed by somebody else putting it out there. If we can get to that point where we can be naked yet unashamed, and I'm not saying that everybody deserves the privilege of beholding your nakedness. Not every place is a safe space to share your deepest, darkest secrets or dreams or hopes or aspirations. Not everybody is going to be able to handle that responsibly. Um, but if you do feel comfortable sharing, um, I put some stuff out there earlier, you know, um, about kind of weird things about me. Not necessarily the kind of thing that I would typically share on a live broadcast. Because I really, frankly, there's some things I would share with certain people, but other people, zoom, Like, what is going on with this weirdo? And I wouldn't want that any of that to stand in the way of any benefit that I can be of anybody. Um, but I mean, the reality is, I don't know if somebody would choose to not log into these broadcasts anymore after hearing that stuff, or stop following the. If they're on YouTube, they're probably not going to stop following the YouTube. Um, but maybe in in the friend connection on Facebook or in real life is most many people that I'm connected with on Facebook. I'm connected with in real life. But anyway, it is what it is, and sometimes, pardon the colloquialism, sometimes it helps to just say "F it" and throw caution to the wind and put yourself out there and see where things land. And um, you know, maybe that's the case with you with respect to something as it relates to your well-being. Um, is something that relates to your well-being that might be a thorn in the side for you or a stumbling block for you. The area where you might have struggled and might still be struggling. You know, I know that part of it comes with a sense of shame. Do you know what it is that really fuels addictions? That word I just said, shame. Shame is the thing that fuels addictions, regardless of what the addiction is to. Whether, like I said, whether it's to drugs or alcohol or drama or sex or social media and our devices, pornography, whatever the case is, right? Um, Dr. Kafira says, I feel better being here to receive this message. Walking through hell and gasoline draws, remembering my husband's transition 3 years ago tomorrow. Yeah, I I I know that's not an easy experience for you. And whenever anybody talks about walking through hell with kerosene draws on, it's serious. The fire is hot, and it's just not the fire all around you, but the fire is right on you, close up and personal, right where you feel it the most. Um, Dr. Kafira, would you like some more support in that area? Also, Mel K says, okay, you have realistic messages for many. I'll keep sharing on my social media. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mel K. Blessings to you. Thank you. Thank you for your willingness to share that. At the end of the day, I always say that the more people, the more people that are freed from stuff, the better it is for all of us. Really and truly, that is the case. The more stuff people are caught up in, the more drama that we're tied up in, the more broken we are, the more our brokenness seeps into the lives of other people and triggers their brokenness and creates a sense of brokenness in other people. The healthier we are, the more healing we're able to bring. The more whole we are, the more we're able to respond to other people in a way that's empowering them, and that they're able to then respond in more empowering ways rather than everybody just responding out of their brokenness and everybody's being continuously triggered in this perpetual cycle of dysfunction and toxicity. Um, so Dr. Kafera says, yes, indeed, you like some support in terms of, pardon me, in terms of the pain of your husband's transition 3 years ago. Tomorrow. All right, so let's do that. I'm gonna start with a little prayer, and I'm just going to do it silently just because I feel like I can go quicker and go deeper that way. Okay. All right. So, Dr. Kafera, let's see. I want to look at this thing as far as what you were saying about the fire. Emotions, emotions in general, kind of resonate with the element of water, if you will. You know, the nature of water is to flow. Um, Also, a thing that happens with water is it'll take on whatever form it's in. Um, and if you've got an emotional situation going on in one area of your life, it can take on whatever other form you might be operating in your life. In other words, it can show up in different areas of your life um, that might seem unrelated to that particular thing. But there are some emotions that are fiery in nature, and anger is one of them. And anger is one of them. Anger can be part of the grief process. In fact, anger really is part of the grief process. Dr. Kafira, do you ever feel angry, consciously angry towards your husband for leaving? And I know that might even feel like a odd thing to even address internally, because intellectually it might not make sense, but the reality of it may still be, but that is what it actually is. Yeah, yeah, I get that. I get that. So let's deal with that, and let's deal with forgiveness. Okay, let's deal with forgiveness for the abandonment. Okay, and in terms of the abandonment that that probably didn't start with the transition of your husband. When did you first have the experience of feeling abandoned? Do you feel comfortable sharing that? When did you first feel abandoned? It might have been when you were a little girl, especially if the abandonment had anything to do with a man. Had been beating up yourself for knowing better but not doing better. That's that thing that I was talking about earlier. Shame keeps us locked in. Feeling bad about what you're feeling bad about what you're doing feeds that particular behavior or that particular mindset or that particular emotional experience. Right. So let's deal with the shame. Okay. Let's deal with the sense of guilt. Also part of the grief process is guilt. Okay. Maybe guilt that you may feel like you could have done more. Okay. The idea that you got a DR in front of your name, why couldn't you have saved your husband? Then maybe some of that anger might even be anger toward yourself. And so we want to resolve that, cool that down, and replace that with forgiveness of self and acceptance of self. Okay. You shared that in the comments that he had an issue that was going on a year before he said anything to you about it. Um, and you felt like you should have known. I get that. I get that. I quoted my friend Spencer Murray earlier. Something else I heard him say about forgiveness is releasing the hope that the past could have been different. So let's deal with releasing the hope that the past could have been different, that he could have told you when he first noticed the issue. Doesn't mean that it didn't still impact you. Doesn't mean that it changes anything in terms of circumstantially. Yes, maybe there's more that you could have done if you had known sooner. And maybe he was possibly trying to protect you. All right. All right. So we want to deal with the forgiving him, want to deal with the forgiving you. And let's deal with forgiving hmm, forgiving the one at the root, more at the root of this sense of abandonment. That's the one who made you. Okay. Forgiving your creator for the experiences that you've had while dwelling in this earth suit called a human body, feeling on some level abandoned in the spirit realm, feeling abandoned by God while living in a body, feeling disconnected and maybe forgotten about. That doesn't seem to be so much of an issue, actually, not the forgotten about part. All right, so let's just strengthen that connection. Not saying that there isn't a level of that connection already in your life experience, but let's strengthen it. Let's boost it um, in the context of the trauma of being born into this earth. Okay, there's trauma that comes with being born. All right, and so we want to speak to that newborn you, that newborn you. You want to speak to that fetal you, even before birth, who was hearing and experiencing these things that were going on before you could even breathe on your own in preparation for entering into this kind of hostile environment that can be the earth. Glad that you feel the anger dissipating in this safe space of confession. And I want to really honor you for your courageousness in terms of sharing that very personal thing in this space. And we're certainly honored to be a safe space and open the door of opportunity for you to be able to share that and to offer support regarding it. All right. And so let's look at, let me see, I want to look at, let's look at that whole thing. Okay. So the anger is dissipating. Um, the guilt seems to be much less. And the guilt in terms of the past, but what about the guilt in terms of the future? Let's address that. Okay. And that could manifest in some ways as a fear of moving forward. Like it somehow dishonor his memory. So we want to purify that and transmute that. and to even beyond that, to be able to receive his blessing in terms of going forward and continuing your life even happier than you ever were before, and allowing space within yourself for that, space within your beingness to receive his blessing in doing so. And even the belief that it's possible, opening up uh, to the belief that that's even possible for you. All right. All right. So that's feeling a little better, you say, Dr. Cafera? I know that I'm saying this to you like you can respond immediately. And I know good and well it's like a 20, 30-second delay from the time I say it to the time you actually hear me saying it. And then you've got to actually type your response. So, not quite the same thing as being lot better, lots better. All right. Certainly glad to hear that. God, thank you so much for the manifestation of your healing and the bestowing of your compassion, love, grace, and peace in the life of my sister, Dr. Kafera. Thank you for all of the blessings that you so lovingly and graciously bestow. Ashe and amen. Okay. Peace is in the release and real eat. I heard that. Boy, you better say it. I'm gonna just leave that there for a moment. Just gonna leave that there for a moment. Yeah, yeah. Well, it is after 2 o'clock Eastern time. I have this birthday celebration for my stepdad that um, is starting in a few minutes. If I left now, I'd already be late for it. Um, so I will need to get ready to sign off, and it's not lasting that long. So I will need to sign off. But it's certainly been my pleasure being here with you all today. Much love, light, and many blessings uh, to Curly Conscious King, Muselle, Samraj, Danny, Faith, um, Mel, Dr. Kafir, anybody else who's been on today. I think I got everybody who commented. Uh, much love sent out to all of you all. May God's richest, radiant blessings rain upon you and shine into every area of your life. May grace rule your perspective of yourself and all the other people that you encounter. You're very welcome, Dr. Kafir. And may we do the work that's necessary to enter in that sustainable state of supreme satisfaction. We'll all be better for it. Again, if you would like any further support, or if you're interested in training in this work that we do, feel free to reach out to me, Royce Fletcher Thomason, on either on Instagram or on Facebook, or um, on Instagram at Transcending the Matrix. Okay, any of those will work. Any of those will work. So that pretty much wraps us up. Look forward to seeing you next time. And as always, I send you forth with peace and love.